Coach, and we'll jump into questions.
I am really fired up about this bowl and our opponent. I grew up a Razorback fan. I was actually telling the team whenever we knew who we were going to play. Some of you people, Don, you'll remember this because we're a little bit older than some of these younger people in here, but whenever you turned 15 or 16, you didn't get a mobile phone or a cell phone. You had your own line. So you had your mom and dad had a line, and then you had your own line. So whenever I turned 15, I got my own line. My number was 817-297-1HOG. We had season tickets for the Razorbacks almost my entire life. I have a lot of family. I was born in Texarkana, so all my mom's side's in Arkansas, and so I grew up calling the Hogs, and so I cannot wait to be playing Arkansas and hearing them call Pig Suey, and we come right back at them with some Raider power. This is a throwback of Southwest Conference opponents, a league that I grew up watching, and whenever they said that we get an opportunity to go to the Liberty Bowl, one of the longest running bowls and has such a storied history. And then I didn't get to coach in it the last time we were there. It was I was hired as the head coach, but I wasn't coaching in it. And so get to coach in this bowl. Our guys are really excited to go to Memphis, excited for the opponent. And it's going to be a lot of fun because I know Coach Pittman. I know his offensive line coached really well. Coach Mateos and I coached together. And they're going to play with a lot of passion, and we're going to play with a lot of passion. So couldn't be any better. I told Kirby, I said, man, you kind of made my day with this bowl and this matchup. And so excited. It's going to be good for us. We've already had a couple of practices. It was just basic practices, and we're going to practice tomorrow. It won't be introducing them to Arkansas yet. We'll practice on Monday. We'll take Tuesday off, and then we'll come back Wednesday, and that'll be for Arkansas. And so with that, take questions.
Coach, just how important is it for you guys to go back there and have a chance to make this a fourth bowl win straight and most in program history?
Yeah, it's making history, number one. Anytime you get to play in a bowl, we counted out whenever we were talking about our young guys, we'll get 13 extra practices with our young guys. And so that's almost a full spring. So we're getting really an extra spring with a guy like Jacob Potton and Nick Fattig. I went back today and watched the last series with us on the offense against West Virginia and had those guys out there. And they were out there whenever Taj got over 1,500 yards and when Will Hammond, got into the end zone. So just for those guys, these practices are so valuable. And then I think it's awesome to be able to send out a group of seniors that have done so much for this university on being in a bowl game. It's going to be a great atmosphere. It'll be a good few days that we're there in Memphis, and it is a big deal. Again, we talked all season long, or especially whenever we didn't reach the goals that we wanted to keep pushing this program forward. Got an opportunity to get a 9th win, and then we also have an opportunity to win 4 bowl games in a row, and that hasn't been done, so it's a big deal.
Joey, Arkansas's quarterback, top leading rusher, leading receiver, all Metroplex kids from Louisville, Duncanville, and Dallas Bishop Dunn. I can't remember, did you coach against Quincy Jackson?
No, I got to watch him, man. One of the best QB. He actually played QB in high school, and Duncanville would have won state. I want to say that was his junior year, but it could have been his senior year whenever he ended up he blew his knee out. But they were the best team in the state, and yeah, I remember all those guys, all 3 of them. I mean, we recruited them whenever I was at Baylor, but I remember watching every one of them, and have got to watch them in college. I'm a diehard. That's all I did yesterday. Watched every single game. Didn't move from my back porch from 11 a.m. until the last game. I love college football and I'm a huge fan. So whatever's on, whenever we're not playing, I'm usually watching those games. And Arkansas is a team that I'll usually watch.
So kind of a two-parter for me. I promise it connects. So last week you kind of had some, let's just say choice words towards the committee and possibly leaving the Big 12 out of the top 4, getting the luxury of basically a month off. So rankings are released. I wanted to get your initial thought seeing, the bracket this morning.
Yeah, I was really excited for Arizona State. I sent Kenny a text last night, congratulations, and he said, "Man, I hope you beating me didn't knock me out of getting a first round bye." And I said, "Well, it shouldn't. If they do, they've really messed up." And so I'm glad the committee got that right. I mean, I thought that was huge. The one thing, I watched all this stuff today again. As soon as they came on, at I think it was 11 a.m. and they started going through the seeds. The one thing that was really interesting to me that a lot of people didn't talk about was I thought BYU should have got a lot more pub about being in the Final 12, and they kind of weren't talked about, but they're also left out. I mean, this is a team that did beat SMU at SMU, and SMU's in the playoffs, and so I thought they would. I really thought that there's going to be some really good games. It's going to be fun to watch. There's going to be some great matchups. But it would have been interesting. I would have thought that BYU would have got a little bit more respect to at least been talked about, and they really weren't. And it's interesting because I keep hearing all these people talk about ugly wins and not so ugly losses, and this team beat this team, and a 3-loss team, do they get in, and all this stuff. And I think BYU should at least been in the conversation since SMU's in the playoffs. But I'm fired up for Arizona State. I'm fired up for our conference. I'm glad they got the bye, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Whoever wins that Clemson-Texas game, they're going to have to tackle a really good running back. I would watch our game if you're trying to do that. I mean, he rushed for 60 yards and minus a really long pass play that was, again, as much us as anybody is a bad call. We really held him in check. The only person that I think has held him under 100 yards. He only rushed for 60 yards against us. And so I thought I am fired up for our conference, though.
And so you're going to be going head-to-head with an SEC school. There's lots of talk about SEC bias within college football and with the committee. And so looking at this matchup, what kind of statement are you looking to make maybe to the committee in honor of the Big 12 to kind of validate, like you talked about last week, validating the Big 12 as a deserving conference?
Yeah, I mean, it is big. I mean, this is a team, Arkansas beat Tennessee. I think they were ranked number 4 maybe at the time whenever they beat them. So it's a really good team. It's kind of interesting. It didn't play out for Texas, but 2 of the 3 scenarios, almost all 4 played out. I mean, you had a 56-yard field goal for the Clemson to beat the American team in the ACC. Arizona State from the Pac-12 won, Oregon from the Pac-12 won, and then Texas from the Big 12 nearly won. So, again, the patch that you wear on your jersey, I think, is going to mean less and less, and it's going to hopefully, whenever this continues to keep playing out, it's going to be about the football and what they're looking at. It's kind of interesting, too. The conference that got the most in was the Big Ten. It wasn't the SEC. And so saying a lot for that conference. And, Indiana is a great football team with a 1 loss against a really good team. But, I thought it was crazy that people were questioning their strength of schedule. I mean, they had 1 loss all year long, and they did what they needed to do to get into the playoffs. But going back to your question, I do think it's important that we win this game. Most important thing to win this game is send our old guys out on a good note. It's important to build momentum going into off-season. It's important to get that 9th win because, again, I think what is going to happen over the next couple years, but especially next year, the more respect you go into the year with, possibly being ranked, a 9-win season possibly could get us a preseason ranking. We'll see. It's going to help you because it just helps you move up into the rankings and into possibly being in the playoffs. And so this game's a big deal.
Coach, going back to your opening statement, you talked about being with the team with the Liberty Bowl back in 2021, but you weren't with the team.
Right.
Just talk about the experience of now being back there where you led the Raider Power chant for the first time.
Yeah, that's funny, man. That is so funny. That's a good question because it was such a cool week because I got to experience it in a whole different way. You know, I was experiencing from the evaluation of the talent that was coming back from the team. That was my fourth game to watch that team play and kind of see where we're at. And then I also got to experience as a fan. You know, I got to be a part of some really cool stuff, and I still remember whenever being up on stage and you got the bands, and I got to lead the Raider Power, but I'm excited to now be in that stadium. When you think about that stadium and you think about that game, there's a lot of big time coaches. You know, if you just talk about history of football that has coached in that game, and we get to be a part of it, and I get to be a part of it. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'll be a little bit more stressed out than I was that time. I was a little laid back and relaxed. I think we'll be keyed up and ready to go for that game.
Coach, could you touch on the hire of offensive coordinator Mac Leftwich and just what he brings to this program and his scheme? Yeah,
I'm excited. He actually got to Mac is here. Sheil will be here tomorrow. So Mac got to meet the team tonight. You'll see it come out on social media. Our players got to move into the new football facility, the Wamba Football Center, and so he got to meet the team tonight. And we'll start meetings and everything whenever to get to know the players that are coming back. One thing that I told the players that was so exciting about him and why I was so interested in him is from the day that he started calling plays, he was the best in the country. I mean, if you go back to Incarnate Word, I think they were the number one offense in total yardage. They were number one offense in total points. This last year, we were 10th overall in offense, and Texas State was 6th overall in offense. It also helps that he comes from, he doesn't come directly from the Mike Leach tree, he was never at Tech, but, he does come from that part. There's a branch somewhere connecting, because Eric Morris was the guy that, really got him started. It was a cool story of listening to when I talked to Eric about hiring Mac. He said, well, also ask Clay too, because they spent 3 or 4 weeks at Washington State in an Airbnb together, because Mac was actually with Clay and Eric, and then Mac was hired back at Incarnate Word, so he was going to be on that staff. He's also credited, he's a great quarterback evaluator. He's credited for the guy that found Cam Ward. There's nobody else that can, I don't think anybody can argue that. Eric Morris is going to tell you that's who found him, and listening to the story whenever y'all get a chance, that'd be a great question to ask him, because it's a really good story of finding a guy that was a wing T offense that probably at the time was a little pudgy, that didn't look like the typical quarterback that would fit into this style of offense, and he saw something that nobody else did and was able to really develop him. And so we're excited. It's going to be a lot of the same whenever you're coming to tempo, and he's very creative. I think he's excited to work with Josh Cochran, be back with Clay McGuire, because our run game, they were very, very good at running the football this year at Texas State, but our run game adds some, 12 personnel, creative stuff with the tight ends, and so I know he's excited about that.
Following up on that, what's the plan for the 2 coordinators in the bowl game? You already said other guys will call the plays.
Right.
How much will Coach Wood and Coach Leftwich be involved in all practices or game?
Yeah, I want them to add in anything they can add to help us win. But the main thing with them is they're going to be evaluating our current players, and then starting tomorrow, we'll have visits with people that are coming in the portal. December, it slows down a little bit from the standpoint we're not on the road, because last year we were on the road, we were recruiting the portal, and we were getting ready for a bowl game. Now you're just recruiting the portal and getting ready for a bowl game, and so. They'll be a part of the visits. I think that was really important of why we wanted to get coordinators hired before December 9th. So the people that we are recruiting will be able to say, I'm playing this style of defense, this is where I fit. I'm playing this style of offense, this is where I'm fit. And then I really wanted to give them an opportunity to evaluate our current roster. And so we practice tomorrow. They'll both be at practice, and I'm sure they'll be chomping at the bits to help out anywhere. And the biggest thing is them being able to evaluate our current players and where they fit into their system.
Got time for a couple more.
Just one or two of your young, like assistant position coaches then take a more active role than they otherwise would have?
Yes, sir. Kirk Bryant will take a more active role as quarterbacks. The plan is for Juice. Juice is going to call the offense. He's going to be in the box, so that'll put Kirk down on the field, and then CJ IU will be calling the defense. That'll put Josh Bookbinder up, and then all of our guys, our young guys that are here, they'll have a more active role. Darcel McBath has been really active the last couple weeks with our corners, but that puts him in a more active role, being the corners coach, and then we just start evaluating. The other thing too, quite honestly, it also gives Mac and Shill a chance to evaluate the coaches, because there's still some guys that we've got to add on staff, and there'll possibly be some guys that have other opportunities, other places, and so that gives us a chance to do that, and they get to watch them coach and talk to them and start developing relationships.
Many players told you they don't plan on playing in the bowl game?
Not yet. What we try to do is one, see what bowl we're in, our opponent, and then like last week, all our old guys didn't practice at all. All they did was lift and run. Tomorrow, the old guys have practiced, but theirs will be to knock the rust off a little bit. They'll be in for a quick special teams. They'll do Indy, and then we'll do some 7-on-7 1-on-1, and then I'll cut them loose to go lift, and we'll practice the young guys. So these first couple practices are really focused on our young sophomores, redshirt freshmen, and freshman development. That's one of the greatest things about bowl games is you're able to get so many more workouts.
Finish this up, Don.
You adding Jarrett to the staff?
We're working on it. We are. He's not official yet, but we're working on it. We've got some stuff to check off as far as rules and everything like that. But, man, I'm hoping so, and he will bring a lot of energy. If you look at the rankings of the top recruiters in the nation, he'll rank as one of the top recruiters in the nation off of the class that they just signed. And I'm hoping so because it definitely will help us.
In what capacity would you?
He'll be on the offensive side of the ball. We're kind of going back and forth, running backs. I'm pretty sure, well, I know he has, so I can say it. But, Tyler Skubanek is going to be Zach's special teams coordinator. Trent Bassey is going to be his quarterback coach. And so you're losing a running back / special teams guy. So he's going to, if we can get him, everything worked out, I'm hoping that he's here and helping in those two positions, and we'll kind of go from there.
And has anything that has happened with your guys' transfer portal announcements changed the number of guys that you said a couple of weeks ago that you want to take?
No, and the other thing, there's going to be some guys that are still trying to decide that have so tomorrow it officially opens. So you're officially in the portal tomorrow. You can announce whenever. So you're officially in the portal tomorrow. It's been my kind of policy the last couple of years is you've earned the right to play in this bowl game. You're trying to make a decision if you're going to stay at Texas Tech, if you're going to leave. And so we're going to have some guys practice tomorrow that have their name in the portal. I go back last year and Loic caught a touchdown pass to help us beat Cal, and was in the portal. He earned the right to play in that game, and so these guys that are in there, if they choose to play in the game, I want them to because, guys, I want to win. I want to beat Arkansas, and if one of those guys can help us in this moment, and then we figure out past this moment that who's going to be the roster, then that's the whole deal to win this game and go 9-4 in 2024.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
All right. Thank y'all. Good to see y'all.